good afternoon. Today we welcome Richard Kilty, a British track and field sprinter who competes in the 60, 100 and 200 metre athletics event. He's a 2014 World Indoor 60 metre champion. Also holds numerous British national sprint titles, including UK Junior 100 metre champion, two-time English Schools National 100 metre champion. On the British club level, he represents Gateshead Harriers, which is a major track club in his native northeast England.
Middlesbrough now.
Middlesbrough, sorry. So welcome to the Teesside Tornado, Richard.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Co-operative Bank. Glad you could join us today.
Yeah.
So you're returning to Manchester after competing in the Great CityGames last year. What is it about this event that makes it attractive to you?
It's just the fact that it's down the street, so we're used to competing in a stadium, which is, the fans are usually pretty far away. You've got the track and then you've got a big field in the middle. And usually before you get to the stand where the fans are, there's probably a long jump runway as well, so the fans seem pretty far away in a normal stadium. So here there's only 4 lanes and you're slightly elevated, so all the fans are all the way down, so when you're running it actually feels like you're running quicker and the atmosphere is right by you either side, and it's just it's more of a relaxed but exciting environment to run in.
It just gives you a totally different motivation.
Yeah, definitely. When you're warming up and you're running up and down in the warm-up on the track and the fans are there and, you know, saying stuff to you, cheering you on, so it gives you that little bit more motivation, excitement than what you would get in an athletic stadium.
How important are games like this to bringing athletics to the masses?
Yeah, it's really important because people, you know, one, it's free for people, and two, you get close, you're in touching distance of world-class athletes. So you've had Usain Bolt compete here, he holds the world record down Deansgate over the 150 metres, so it's really important for people to get close and see what we're all about, really.
Just moving on to you. You recently talked about wanting to go sub 10 seconds on 100 metres.
Yeah.
What will you do to prepare yourself and develop yourself to be able to achieve that goal?
Well, the last 2 years I've had really big indoor seasons. I've been the best 60 metre runner in the world for the last 2 years now, and then this year I was #1 in Europe as well over the 60 metres. But after I'd finished my indoor season, it was like a really big emotional journey. So I'd had hard work, big competitions, then after you have a really big championship, you have quite an emotional come down, you have to come home, you've got media stuff to do, and it's all quite overwhelming when you win 2 golds back to back. So I had a bit of a come down, I had small injuries, well, quite a big injury last year between the indoors and the outdoors, and you only have about 7 weeks to prepare. So I was rushing my training and overtraining, and I ended up having an injury. So when I got to the outdoors, I wasn't quite in the same shape as I was in the indoor season. So this year I decided to not defend my world championship title in preparation for the Olympics, to make sure that I had no problems in preparation for the summer. So that's what I've done differently, and I've been able to put more training in during March, April and now May in preparation for the summer.
Now, clearly we're talking very marginal
oh yeah, it's tiny. It's
tiny margins that you're trying to improve on.
Yeah. So
how can you push yourself to the next level to be able to do that?
Well, I don't. For me, I think I'm already at that level of running. That my times, which I've run over 60 metres, indicate that I can break sub 10 on a regular basis. But as I say, the past 2 years I've had 2 injuries, both outdoor seasons, which have slightly made me lose a little bit of fitness and set me back with my training. So I wasn't even getting to the 60 metre point during a 100 metre race what I was in as quick as I was during the indoor season. So I've got the endurance there. I was predominantly a 200 metre runner before I won the world title over the 60, so I think it's there. It's just about staying injury free and getting better race by race, and just staying focused and maintaining my training, and, you know, keeping up with my lifting in the gym, my endurance runs, and hopefully it'll come together race by race.
So we talked about that milestone, but, you know, have you achieved key milestones that you've set yourself throughout your career?
Yeah. I've gone past what I believed I could have done, to be honest. When I was a kid, I wanted to become a professional athlete. When I was a kid, I always had the dream of competing, you know, on the circuit, going to the World Championships, just representing Great Britain. That's all I wanted to do as a kid. And then I was the best junior and under 17 in the country. But it's all well and good doing that. That was amazing at the time. But then to go into a senior where you're in a massive pool of all the British athletes, to then represent Great Britain as a senior is massive. But to go and win a world title, you know, over 60 metres, which, you know, it's the shortest event, and it's probably the event which people would have doubted me at the most, because it's a more shorter, powerful event. And when I was younger, I was really skinny and not as quick at the start. I would come back later on in the race. So to come and win a world title, which people like Linford Christie, Safa Powell-Lev all tried to win that title and they failed. So to be amongst the list of people who've won that is amazing.
So clearly athletics is around successes, but it's also around failure as well. That can be quite difficult. You've already mentioned you've had a number of injuries in your career which have set you back. You were also controversially left out of 2012 Olympics. How do you react to that type of thing, and how do you come back from such setbacks?
Yeah, well, 2012 I was during when the team got selected, I was the fastest 200 metre runner in the country. By the end of the season I was ranked number 2, but going into the Olympic selection I had a hamstring injury, but I still had the standards to qualify for the 200 metres, and I was ranked number 1, but they decided to leave the spot open and only take 2 people in the 200 metres, and they can take 3, and they decided not to take me, which was pretty heartbreaking, and I was a bit confused at that time in my life. I took 6 months out. I was really depressed at the time, and I just didn't know quite what to do in my life. My whole life from being 15 onwards, when we realised the Olympics was going to be in London, was just everything was dedicated towards that. And then to be missed out over, it wasn't even in my hands, a poor selection. I did have an injury, but at the time of the Olympics and the selection, I was fully fit. So to be left out at the hands of somebody else, I just felt quite let down by it. And so I took time out of the sport for 6 months. I was considering a career going into the Marines and pushing myself towards the military. It was probably just a confused decision that I was making. Just didn't have a clue what to do then. I didn't have no lottery funding, no sponsorship, so financially it was pretty difficult to train full time as an athlete, and live as well. So I just started training back in Teesside, running up hills and doing whatever training I can, because I didn't really have transport to the track at the time. So I just made do with what I had. I had to compromise and just work as hard as I could. Then I broke into the team at the World Championships in Moscow just for the relay. They again didn't select me for the 200 metres, even though I finished second at the trials and ahead of the other 2 guys who they selected ahead of me. But that time I just thought I'd just relax and just let it be, and I got put on lottery funding. And then the next 4 months I just thought I'll dedicate myself properly while I've got the opportunity to train properly with funding. And then the indoor season of 2014 started, and that's when it all changed for me.
Do you have a sense of responsibility as an athlete representing your country to be a role model?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's you've got to go out there and be your best. There's other people. You want other kids to look up to you and aspire to achieve what you did. So for me, I feel my role model is to give people a bit of inspiration to the fact that I came from literally nothing. I was, all my friends and family growing up there were all in and out of prison or addicted to drugs. I grew up in a really, really rough council estate, and there was not a lot of success or anything positive going on around me. I was in a completely negative environment, and running was my way out of that. So I feel like I do lots of stuff back at home. I go into the deprived areas and into the local community centres and the schools which are in the rougher areas, and I speak to the kids who come from similar backgrounds to me and give them a little bit of hope that no matter what your circumstances are, you can be successful in whether it be work, education, sport, anything you focus on, you can become successful in, no matter what the environment or what your position is at the time.
So as an athlete, you have to take care of both your mind and your body.
Yeah.
What are your well-being musts?
Well, I think for me the main thing as an athlete off the track is to maximise your performance in your recoveries. One is be happy, just generally, like be in a good mood, because if you're stressed and sad, that wears you down. It just feels like there's a massive weight on you. So one is be happy and positive and enthusiastic as much as you can. So every day I wake up and be thankful for what I've got in my life at the moment, to be doing a sport. It's a dream job for me. It's just a hobby. It's an absolute dream, the life I'm living right now. 2 is get enough protein in my body. For a sprinter, we need more protein rather than carbohydrates. Drink enough water and get enough sleep. That's a really big thing. So happiness and mindset is one. The right nutrition is another one. Even though I can, as an athlete, sometimes you slip up because you're so tired. Sometimes you end up eating a little bit of bad food. But try to have a good diet, good happiness, good sleep, and then obviously work hard when the time's right.
Is that something you would encourage other people to do
Yeah,
if they're trying to look after their own well-being?
Yeah, definitely sleep, food, water, and a positive mind.
What are your key values that you live by?
The key values, I would say, for me, every opportunity I get, I need to take it. Going into the World Championships in 2014, I was 66 to 1 on the odds to win. They didn't even think I was going to make the final. But when I got to the World Championships, at the time I didn't have nothing. I was just, I was living between my dad's house and my mum's house. I didn't have a car, wasn't really financially stable at that time, and so my key value is to make the most of your opportunity. If there's an opportunity there, you've got to strike and take it. So I can remember I'd qualified for the World Championship final. They didn't think I was going to do. I was ranked about 15th going into it in the world, and I found myself underneath in the call room. Not in the call room, in the warm-up area in the World Championships. The stadium is above you, and you can hear all this chanting. And my coach at the time, he came to me and he said, "Just sit down." I laid down in the little massage booth, which was like a little dark area where every country had a different booth, and he told me to sleep, and I said, "How can I sleep here?" And he just said, "Look, you've got to shut down and sleep. You've got like an hour and 30 minutes, and it's going to be the biggest race of your life." And when I laid down, I got a massage, I was relaxed, and he came and told me to start moving. We went into the warm-up area, and it was just me. It was the last event of the night, the World Championship final, and there was only me and 7 others who were ready to go out for the World Championship final. They were warming up with their coaches, and there was in athletics there's always like lots of cameras around and big scoreboards, and in the warm-up area they showed the fastest times ran from the semi-final, and I was 4th. No, sorry, I was 4th going into it, and I was saying to him, I said, "Imagine if I got a medal here, and that would be amazing. It'd be amazing. It would change my life." And he said, "Well, if you're going to go for a bronze, go for a gold. It's going to be close, And the biomechanist came, and he had we get all like analytical data on each 10-meter segment of the race, and they told me that in the semi-final, and even in the quarters and the heats, that I was the second part of the race between 30 metres and 60 metres. I was running quicker than everybody else in the whole competition, but I was about 0.04 of a second slower than them to 30 metres. And they just came looking and said, "Look, if you can get to 30 metres, even with these or in contention with them, you're going to become world champion." And then I just thought to myself, before we were walking up the stairs into the arena, and you could hear all chanting, and there was a national anthem playing from the race before, and I just pictured myself being on the podium and hearing the British national anthem. And then I just thought to myself all the hard times that I've had to overcome. I was homeless as a kid a couple of times, and all the adversity and struggle that I've had to put up with, and I just thought to myself, this is now my opportunity to change it. Just from all I've got to do is get from that start line to the other start line faster than these other 7 people. And I just made it as simple as that, and I just thought to myself, I'm going to make the most of the opportunity I'm given, and I struck it, and I won.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Richard, thank you very much for joining us today, and wish you luck in the games tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Cheers.